Hey guys, let's check out how to solve equations containing a power of 2. So if you take a look, both of our equations contain x being squared. We're going to have to cancel that square in order to solve. So as it says in the instructions, solve for x, find an exact value. So again, I know that I'm going to have to simplify if it doesn't work out perfectly. Again, that means when I say exact, we're going to have our answer as, some number times some radical if it doesn't work out nicely. So we'll see if that comes up. Taking a look at this first one, there are two things happening to the x. The x is being squared, and we're adding 15 to it. The easiest thing to get rid of, the thing that's furthest from the x, would be this 15. So we're going to cancel this by subtracting. Bring down the x squared. On this side, -1 minus 15 is going to give us -16. To cancel out this power of 2, the reverse would be to take the square root. So that would cancel on this side, and the x could come down. However, when I try to take the square root of -16, I'm kind of left with a blank here. There is no number that when multiplied by itself, I would get a negative value. So remember that whenever we see the square root of a negative number, the answer is going to be imaginary. And so there is no value for x that exists that would make this equation true. So you can write NA, or if you want, you can also include that our answer is imaginary. So there is no value there. Let's check out this next one. It's a little bit more complex. We have a bunch of things happening to x. We see x is getting squared. It's being multiplied by 3. We're subtracting 15. And then we're dividing all of this by 5. And that should get us 9. So the first thing that I'm going to get rid of is whatever is furthest from x. And one thing that I think is a good idea is if you kind of group everything in the numerator together. Because nothing in the numerator can be touched until we get rid of this denominator. All of this is getting divided by 5. So first I need to cancel that division before I get rid of anything up there. So to cancel division, we know we've got to multiply by 5. That will cancel this guy. And multiply on the other side by 5 as well. And everything that was in the numerator is going to come down untouched, meaning I'm not going to distribute this 5 on top. I've already canceled it with what's in the denominator. So this comes down just as 3x squared minus 15. And that's equal to 45 on the right-hand side. Now, as we continue, we're going to get rid of this 15 next. Again, that's the next furthest thing from my x. So let's add 15. We get 3x squared is equal to 60. Now we're left with two things. We have this 3, which is a coefficient, and we have this power of 2. And try to remember that that power of 2 only applies to what's directly underneath it, which is the x. I can't consider this 2 as being applied to this 3, so I'm going to get rid of this 3 before I cancel out the 2. This power is happening directly to x. It's the closest thing to x. That means it's the last thing I can get rid of. So let's divide by 3. We see x squared is equal to 20, and to cancel the square, we're taking the square root. Unfortunately, we can't take the square root of 20 nicely. It is irrational. So I'm going to just on the side simplify. So I'm going to go ahead and do my factor tree. And I'm looking for a pair of prime numbers that I can hopefully pull out of this radical. So I can divide this up into 2 and 10. 10 I can break up into 2 and 5. And that's as far as I can go. So what I see is I have a pair of 2's, and I have a leftover 5. So square root of 20 is going to simplify to 2 radical 5. And so I'm going to say x is equal to 2 radical 5. That's my final answer. So now you're going to go ahead and try these problems here. Pause the video and come back when you're ready. All right, let's take a look. The first one, we had many steps for that one. It came out to 5 exactly. But do remember that the square root of 25 can equal positive 5 and negative 5. So if you do not have this plus or minus sign as part of your answer, it is not fully correct, and you would lose points. So just be very mindful that we need the plus or minus sign. Second one here. It didn't come out to be a real number. It was, in fact, imaginary. Square root of negative 1 does not exist. And our last one, x equals 2 radical 10. It did not come out to be a rational number, so we had to simplify it. Let us know if you have any questions.